In this video, I'm going to show you how to export your finished video project so that it's actually usable and uploadable. It's an actual video file because right now it's just a Premiere project. So obviously before you do this, you want to make sure that everything is perfect, it's exactly how you want it, and you're ready to share it with the world. So what I did in between the last video and this video is I went and I kind of cut down this intro. It was way too long, and I increased the scale of this footage over the top because you could see how the clouds are mixing a little bit better, and that's about it. So I'll scrub through it really quick so you can see the completed video. So it's got like a nice little pacing to it, some nice flow, under 10 seconds, and away you go. All right, so before you go to export, what you want to make sure is that you are selected on the timeline dialog box. You don't want to be selected on an individual file. Sometimes when you do that, when you export, it defaults to just exporting this one individual clip, and you often won't notice this until you go back to watch the exported footage and you've waited around for it to render, and then you'll be disappointed. So before you do that, just make sure that you've clicked off of any of the clips. The way you can make sure that that's the case is there won't be any information here. You want the timeline box selected as well. So now you're ready to export. Where we're going to go is File, Export, and Media. Okay, File, Export, Media. You're going to click on it there, and then you're going to see this dialog box pop up. This is a preview of your video. This is the timeline. It's very important that you check this because it will also prevent you from having some problems down the line when you export this thing. I wish somebody would have told me this a long time ago. But this will show you the entire duration. Okay, so if you ever, if this ever doesn't match what you made down here, if it's way too long or if it's way too short, usually there's some problems that you'll need to fix. Sometimes you've left like a little bit of a clip way out, like at 30 minutes, and it's only a 10-second video, and it's telling you that it's a 30-second video or 30-minute video. That's usually the problem. And so you have to go back into the timeline and find that little bit of information and delete it, because when it exports, it's saying the entire video, there's information out here. Let's default to including it, because why wouldn't we? And you got to go and eliminate it. So it's a nice way to just double check your work. The other nice thing about this is that if you ever need to edit or export just like a little clip, let's say you've made a 20-minute long video and you've got to make a 10-minute excerpt or sorry, a 10-second excerpt for some submission to some show or some client or something, you can always change this overall length to just be a segment. And so we could export a 2-second clip of whatever this is, and it'll show you the overall time over here of what we want to export, and then you don't have to go in and chop up your video and make a new video entirely. You can just come into the original and cut something out of it. Okay, what this little playhead does is it gives you a defaulted preview for the file, and so you can move this around so that when it's sitting in your folder as a preview, this is what you'll see as a little image preview. Okay, so that's that. Next, we're going to go over here to the export settings. We're not going to go super in depth to most of this because it won't be necessary for what we're doing in this class, but it's nice to know that this stuff is here. We'll go from top to bottom. So under the format, the most common and user-friendly, sort of universally, I think there's some argument to this, but typically the most user-friendly video codec is H.264, okay, the format. And so what this will enable you to do is have a high quality video. You can see the summary down here, it's HD, and then also just like the information and the compression on this file format is user friendly across a variety of platforms. Namely, the most important of which is YouTube, which is what we are going to be exporting for in this class. So under preset, after you've hit H.264 in the format, you can go down here and you can see that there are preset Vimeo and YouTube exporting preferences. And so this is really nice because what we want to do, at least for this video, is go to YouTube 1080p Full HD. Okay, and so we know that this is going to be compatible with their platform and their compression, and it's going to look good. Another thing that we're going to talk about later, if you didn't see it at first, is that when we make our GIFs, you can select this animated GIF format here, and then you can go back down and you can make sure that it's the right file format as well. This is going to create the suffix file, it'll say MOV or MP4 and or GIF when you export it. So for this video, and just for most videos in general, we're going to do YouTube 1080p Full HD. Okay. And you can see here that the source matches the output in this case, because this video file that I used was the same as the one that is the 1080p export that we're using at 30 frames per second. Okay. If you ever want to change the aspect ratio, this is where you'll do it. We'll do this when we make the GIF. We'll make it smaller so that it has that sort of GIF-y feel to it, as well as the frame rate. But for this video and for most videos, you want this to be as high quality as possible. 1080p, unless you're working in 4K video. And then, most videos are shot at 30 frames per second, some a little bit higher. But in this case, it's all set, it's all ready to go. You don't usually need to mess with this stuff, but you should know how to adjust it if you need to. Also, if things get a little weird, sometimes you can go back and fix it. Okay. So that's all we're going to cover with this. There's some more options down here, but we're not going to go into them for the nature of this class. It's just a little beyond the scope of what we're doing. So one of the things I want to focus on now that we've talked about all these little things, is maybe the most important thing, which is the output. Okay, this is where it's going to end up. And in my case, I want this to end up in the folder that we've been putting all of our projects into for these demos, so that I know where to find it. I am going to call this final demo for this class 1135. Okay. I can see here that it's an MP4 file format, which is what I want. That is a file format that is compatible with YouTube, and it is also compatible with the internet and a variety of other sources. It can be played on pretty much any application. Okay, so I'm going to hit save there. I know where it's going. I know where I'm going to be able to find it, and I'm happy about it. Okay, it's a pretty easy thing to skip, and it's a really important one that you don't skip it, so that you know exactly where it is and what it's going to be called. Okay. So down here, queue is brighter than export, and you don't want to queue anything up. You just want to export this thing right away and send it to the top of the list. I don't have anything else exporting, so there's no need to queue it up. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit export now that I am ready to go. This file should actually be pretty quick to export because it's really small. So I'll show you here while it's exporting. Looks like it's already done. There's our final demo. Okay, it's still thinking about it. Let's hop back in here and see where it's at. Okay, so it's at 76%. If you don't mind bearing with me, yeah, we're only 8 minutes of this video, so we can actually see the final product here. So once it's done, it'll hop back into the original project, and then here's our little video. Open it up in Premiere. Here's our nice little weird glitchy orb video, right? And so if you ever want to, you can loop these things and kind of make it feel like a GIF. I'll just play it over and over again. Okay, and if we wanted this to be a really seamless loop transition, all you would need to do is put that same color matte intro at the end, and it would look like it would be an infinite loop, and you would never know the difference between when it starts and when it stops. And that is it. So we've run through basically start to finish Premiere Basics. Okay. Anything else beyond this is going to be a little bit more specialized, and we'll make some videos for that. But this should get you to be able to do most of what you need to do in this class as far as video editing goes, importing, exporting, and then making some effects and adjustments and transitions. And then sort of get you well on your way to feeling confident enough to hopefully explore and experiment with some of the other things in Premiere.